Hey, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Dice Tower. So.
Hi, I'm Eric Summerer, and here's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here. Time for the news for this coming week. Lots of exciting things to be taking a look at, but this week is going to be a week chock full of videos. We are in our countdown to Gen Con, which is a little over 2 weeks away, and Z Garcia and I are going to be doing some videos this week in which we take a look at the new games being released at Gen Con and tell you what we think of them. Also this week we'll see the debut of Eric Summerer's Top 100 Games of All Time. You'll see the first video of that, and then as the weeks go by you will see more and more videos come and see what his favorite games are. And that's just the beginning. There's a whole lot more. Let's talk about the news though. News is kind of trickling in at this point because companies are kind of all gearing up for Gen Con, which is 2 weeks away, but Fantasy Flight has released a few things. They released the rules to their new Battlestar Galactica expansion Daybreak, so you can go see if that looks interesting to you. They also have given previews on a couple of their upcoming expansions. Their new one for Cosmic Encounter, more aliens for that, the new one for Civilization, and the new expansion for Descent. I suspect that these expansions will be at Gen Con, but with Fantasy Flight, you never know what's going to be there or not. Z-Man has also talked a bit more about the new expansion for Pandemic and how there will be a team aspect in it. So there's some talk about that. Lots of games are released on Kickstarter. One of note is Pack of Heroes, which I did a preview for before. I really enjoyed this little card game from Adventureland Games. Tasty Minstrel Games has picked up a new game in their stable that they'll be publishing later on called Scoville. I just find that one interesting because the Scoville scale of rating how hot sauces and peppers are. As a hot sauce fan, that's something I always find interesting. And that's a new game cafe opened up in Los Angeles, or is going to open up in Los Angeles, called Game House. That's H-A-U-S. And you can find all this information if you join us at Facebook at Game Bugle. You can find out the news there. News of the week. I kind of hate when the news of the week is not positive, but that's what happened this time. The doom that came to Atlantic City, which I didn't really talk about when it was up on Kickstarter because it basically looked like Monopoly plus a Cthulhu theme added onto it. I didn't know if it was a Monopoly ripoff or not, but it just didn't really interest me. There was some fairly big name designers on board, and the models and miniatures of different Cthulhu figures looked pretty interesting. And the campaign, I mean, obviously people thought so because the campaign raised $120,000, which is a lot of money for a Kickstarter campaign. Well, after a year of delays and it's coming, the guy running the project has just announced that, well, too bad, it's never happening, and that he will do his best as time goes by to refund people their money. He apparently used the money to, instead of funding the game, to start a company and for the purposes of publishing the game, and I'm not really sure because it's a bit hazy. He said he's refunding the game. The designers posted on their blogs that, well, that they didn't know anything about the whole thing. They thought the game was going to be made, and this was as big of a surprise to them, and that they haven't got a dime of the money. So it's looking a little shady, I suppose, in all those different circumstances. But this is the biggest board game Kickstarter to just completely fail thus far. And that, well, I'll talk a little bit more about this in my musings in just a bit. But, well, that's the news of the week. A lot of great reviews this week. I have, I think, 7 from other Dice Tower contributors, so you can look forward to seeing what they're going to be bringing you. I'm going to be taking a look here at Fish Cook, ROFL, or Raffle, or Rolling on the Floor Laughing, I'm not really sure, from Cryptozoic, Flux, the board game, the Trains and Stations from WizKids. This is actually a toy, but we're going to be taking a look at this, Robotic Mammoth, the new version of Guildhall, the Palaces of Carrara, and from Cryptozoic, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, Island Fortress, Order Up. This I actually won't be reviewing this one. Melody and my other daughters will be taking a look at that. Quicksilver, the little game Sushi Go, Out of Gears robot game, the expansion for Agricola Creatures Great and Small, and the card game Red Cliffs. Also, there'll be one other surprise review that I'll be reviewing, but you'll find out about that when it goes up this week. In the Dice Tower Network, Board Game University, coming out this Thursday, number 11, will be talking with Brad Talton from Level 99 Games. He's done a lot. He does a ton of stuff on Kickstarter, but also as an indie designer, publisher, does it all. What's that like? We talked to him. Ludology number 61 was released, where they take questions from their listeners and answer them as only Ryan Sturm and Jeff Engelstein can. Gameopolis 27.5, they take a look at several games, including Babylon, Carcassonne Dice, and the game that's impossible to say quickly, Fast Flowing Forest Fellers. The Long View has special guests Mark Chaplin and Lee Copel, and they take a look at Revolver and its sequel, Revolver 2. And this week, the Dice Tower 315 will be coming out tomorrow, in which we talk about annoying game box sizes. And I talk about Forbidden Desert and, well, you'll have to listen to the episode to find out what else happens to me. And it's time to take a look at another shelf here. There's a lot of games on this shelf. Now, every game I have I think is super fantastic, but eventually some games will have to go, and there's a couple games on this shelf that are, if I got a better game, I think they would be ones to go. Now, Tobago would fall in that category, but it's such a unique, has great components, such a unique deduction game, that's why I hang on to it. Arkham Horror, you can see here, is in 2 different boxes, and I also have the plastic containers, at least one, I think maybe 2 plastic containers full of stuff for it too. A lot in Arkham Horror, but I do enjoy it. This is one of my Small World boxes. I keep the Realm stuff. Colosseum is a really fantastic game from Days of Wonder, way underrated. One that I think very highly of, great components, just a lot of fun. The Adventurers here, this one is another one that would be on the cusp of going because I like it, it's a fun game, but the first Adventurers is probably, if I had to keep, I have both of them, and if I had to keep one, I would probably keep the other Adventurers. A rolling boulder is probably neater than falling blocks from the ceiling. City of Remnants and Mice and Mystics are both from Plaid Hat Games. I enjoy them both. Mice and Mystics will be in my collection for a long time. City of Remnants has a really cool mix of different mechanics. I don't know how long that one will stay. Discworld is a fun game from Art Wallace. Also inside this box is Last Will. They really have nothing to do with each other, but Last Will's box got destroyed, so I put the pieces in Discworld. Maybe I'll do that with more games, have 2 for the price of 1. A la Carte is a cooking game with some really weird and unusual components. Basically, you're cooking. Poseidon's Kingdom is a game in which dice fall onto the board via the dice wave. It's a neat, unique game from the Fragger Games. And then Nothing Personal, might as well keep a copy of my own game. Empires of the Void is a good space game. Moving up a bit, you can see Seven Wonders and Cosmic. I mean, I don't know. My favorite game, so duh, I'm hanging on to that. Seven Wonders is a very good game, but the main reason I hang on to it is because I can play it with 7 people, and I can play it with a lot of different people, so that's an easier game for me to hang on. Panic on Wall Street, on the other hand, is a game that also goes, well, up to 11 players. Really fun, Fast and Furious game in the style of Pit. Dancing Eggs, people always say, how do you have a carton of eggs on your shelf? Well, it's a game called Dancing Eggs from Haba, and they're actually eggs inside. They're rubber eggs that you hold under your chin, under your arm as you run around the table. Underneath that is just the cards for Beyond Balderdash, because that's pretty much all you need for that game. And then a really great game that's unfortunately out of print, and Mission Red Planet. Bruno Feduti, role selection, and area control. And that's what's on that shelf. Kickstarter flops. Not a pleasant thing. The Doom that came to Atlantic City, that's a really big one. That's not the only one. Odin's Ravens, the guy who got the $23,000 for that game hasn't been active at all since that happened, and either something dramatically bad has happened to him, which we do not hope so, or he's taken the money and run, which we don't hope so, but either way, there's no positive resolution to that. The upfront campaign is mired in legalities, and people are hoping they get the game there, but we don't know what will happen. The the Glory to Rome Black Box Edition basically put that company into bankruptcy. And so there's, games that are coming out, a lot of games that are coming out from Kickstarter, and people are having second thoughts on the whole process. We did a survey on Game Bugle this week where people took a look at Kickstarter, and we're going to be trying to do more surveys in the future from Game Bugle, so you can check those out. But one of the things is I noticed that a lot of people are unsatisfied with their Kickstarter purchases. Several of the reasons are it was late. People said it was going to come at a specific time, and it came out much later. And I can tell you that that's just an unfortunate byproduct of the gaming industry. I would prefer that a game came late and was better made. Because there's all sorts of delays and all sorts of things that can happen in games. As I know, watching my own game being made, there's just a lot of different delays and different things that can happen. But I think that one is just, that happens all the time in all different businesses all over the place. People also are unhappy with the shoddy quality. That one I have less of a soft spot for. If you're going to make a game, then you should aspire to doing good quality. There's no excuse for it right now. There's so many companies out there that can make good quality. I'm not saying you have to have miniatures and you have to have top quality stuff in your games, but your cards should be quality. Your cards should have rounded corners. They should be decent quality. Your components, your box, your rules. Spend some time on that, because getting a quick shoddy game out in production is not worth anyone's time. And there's been many Kickstarter projects which the components are simply not up to snuff. You say, well, I don't really know what companies to go to. Then maybe you shouldn't have done a Kickstarter. Maybe you should have gone to someone else who runs successful Kickstarters and let them do it, or went to a company and got your game there. I'm very wary, if you don't know the ins and outs of the business, using your Kickstarter as a learning process, I don't think is the best way to do it. Get your ducks in a row before you get it to Kickstarter. Bad quality, unacceptable, in my opinion. So that's some problems. And then some people don't like the exclusive things that only a Kickstarter backer would get. Well, that's a subject for another time, because there's certainly different thoughts on those one way or the other. But this is the problem is, what if I back it and I don't get the game? What recourse do I have? Well, for me, when I back stuff on Kickstarter, and I don't back a lot of stuff, but I back things occasionally. When I back something on Kickstarter, I back it with the idea that I am giving that person my money, and then I forget about it. And then if I get the product later on, hooray, that's awesome, that's great. And if I don't, well, that's life, but I've kind of wrote that aside. So because that is as it is, I will never back anything for any amount on Kickstarter that I can't afford. If I can't afford, for example, a $500 thing because I want my picture in it or whatever in the game or what have you, I won't back that amount, because if I lose that, what am I going to do? I don't have money for legals to go after those people, so I can only back what I can afford to lose. Now, that's no excuse for any scumbag who's out there who's saying, oh, they're going to use Kickstarter to fleece people. Boo to you, and I hope your company fails and you lose all your money and what have you. Shame on you. And I'm not giving people an excuse to do that, but at the same time, go in with your eyes open. Should this make you run from Kickstarter? I don't think so, but I think it is a good idea to be cautionary. If it's a company and Kickstarter has a track record, go for it. Of course, you say, well, Kickstarter was for these new guys, these new people. That I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there you can go and you can look at it, but I mean, I remember telling the Odin's Ravens guy when he came to me, he seemed legit. We talked about it on the show, and then bam, that just went off into the nothingness. And I don't know what to tell you. But I will say that for every failed Kickstarter, there's dozens and dozens and dozens that have not failed, that have fulfilled their promises, and games that people are very happy with. So don't let this chase you away from Kickstarter, but make it that your eyes are open. Look at these things. Say, what do I know about this? If it's an unknown quantity, then there's no reason you should be dropping $500, $1,000 on the person. I mean, unless you know them personally or you feel very confident in them. If it's a known company, then you have a lot more recourse to do so. For example, Zombicide by the Cool Mini or Not. They're a known company. People have seen their Kickstarters deliver on all the promises that they promised. So when a new one comes out, Zombicide 3 or whatever, you can jump on board that knowing you're going to get what you get. Although even established companies go out of business sometimes, as we saw there's different cases of that happening too. Buyer beware. That's the best we can tell you. You cannot blame Kickstarter for this. It's set up that this is happening. No one is forcing you to give your money to these people. You can get snookered here just like you can get snookered anywhere else in the world. So you have to spend a little bit of time to do your research in this regard. Is it unfortunate that these big problems happen with the doom that came on Annex City and Odin's Ravens and so on? Yeah, it really is. I wish it wouldn't. But like I said, this is still a minuscule amount of things that are not happening compared to the ones that are. Should it chase you away from Kickstarter in general? No. It should just make you be a much more wary buyer. But if you're someone planning on fleecing people, well, then like I said, you're a scumbag and we have no use for you. But for the rest of you Kickstarter people, give us a good product. Hey folks, welcome to a new segment on Dice Tower News in which we answer questions. This one is from Lior from Israel, and he said that in the game stores that he's gone to in Israel, that the selection of games is fairly low and that the prices are often quite high, sometimes double what you'll see in stores in America. And he wanted to know, why is this? Why is the pricing so high in those countries? Well, unfortunately, in the board gaming business, the only two countries to live in where you're going to get really good prices on board games are probably the United States of America and Germany, because most of the games are produced in those two countries. And if you're there and you're buying the games from there, well, then obviously they're going to be cheaper, because the one big thing that is the killer and that is raising the cost of games internationally is shipping. And I've seen people jump on Kickstarters about shipping. I've seen people jump on game companies about shipping and online game stores and say, why is shipping so high? But it's not their fault. It's the shipping. I mean, it's the cost of oil. It's the global economy. It's the shipping companies, board game companies and stores and Kickstarter people. They can't do anything about that. That's how much it costs. When I used to live in South Korea, it was the same thing. I could go to the store and the local game stores and buy them, but they were very pricey. Because that store had to buy them and then pay for the shipping costs. And even though they can get their shipping down to a lower price point than a regular person can, the demand for games is not so high that they're able to order so many of them to get that shipping down to a reasonable cost. And so you're going to have to pay that much. It's unfortunate. Now, if you have games produced in your own country, I remember that in Korea, Korean board games started publishing many of these games that I like here in Korean, and they were published there in Korea. Then the price in those games went dramatically down because they were able to take out the cost of shipping. And I know that other countries produce a lot of games, and so I'm sure you can get the games that are produced there, like in France and Poland and Italy and Great Britain. Games that are produced there are cheaper, but if the game comes from outside anywhere, it's just going to be that much more expensive. And I tell you, from living in Korea and then moving back here to the United States, the cost differential between games is amazingly different. And so it's really, I have to say, it's a very fortunate thing where we live. And it's unfortunate all over the world, so I would recommend to people your best bet in that regard is to wait and buy games once a year if possible, and get a whole pile of them to decrease your shipping, and find other gamers and maybe combine orders so that you can get it and lower your shipping quite a bit. Other than that, there's not a whole I can do. It's an unfortunate thing, but that's why game prices in many countries are so high. Well, that's it for this week. A couple things that we wanted to tell you about. First of all, a big reminder, on our audio podcast, we do top 10 lists every other week or so, and we have a place where you can go to in the Dice Tower, go to top 10 lists, and you can vote on those. That's a great way for you to be involved. We do the People's Choice Top 10. Make your voice be heard. Also, as you saw in this episode, I did a question of the week. So if you have a question of the week that you would like me to address that's not in the most of our questions go to our audio podcast, but if you want one in the video podcast, send it. I can't promise that we'll get to it at any point in time, but I'll add it to a list and we'll see what happens there. Then, if we have some extra Dice Towers from our Dice Tower Kickstarter, so in the description of this video, I'll put a link to where you can go to Cool Stuff and order those Dice Towers, and the proceeds will come to the Dice Tower, and you can add that to your Cool Stuff order and put other things in there that you would like from them. And if you still want other things, you can go to our website and under Donate, and you can see that there's Mage Wars cards and other promo packs that if you want to get those, we have extra packs and things like that. Well, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of work we got to do this week and get these videos out to you, so we need to get that done. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
To find out more about all of our podcasts, check out DicetowerNetwork.com. To see a listing of our videos, head to Dicetower.com. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Cool Stuff Incorporated, where you can buy games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock.
Shut the door.